The emergency phone pierced through the quiet Tuesday evening at Mercy General Hospital. Dr. Sarah Chun looked up from her patient charts, noting the time. 2,247 hours. Old habits died hard. "This is Dr. Chun," she answered, already moving toward the trauma bay. The voice on the other end belonged to Battalion Chief Morrison from the fire department. His words clipped with urgency. "We've got a mass casualty situation developing at the Naval Special Warfare Training Facility. Live fire exercise went sideways. Multiple GSWs, at least one critical with complex abdominal trauma. ETA 12 minutes. Chen's mind shifted into combat mode without hesitation. How many total casualties? 6 confirmed wounded, 2 walking for stretcher cases. The critical one is losing blood fast. Your trauma team available? We'll be ready." Chun disconnected and immediately activated the hospital's mass casualty protocol. Her voice carried across the emergency department with practiced authority. "Mass cal activation. 6 incoming from military training accident. I need trauma teams 1 and 2 prepped immediately." The organized chaos began instantly. Nurses wheeled equipment into position while technicians prepared blood products. Chun moved between stations, her hands checking supplies with muscle memory that surprised even her colleagues. She counted off medical equipment like inventory from a different life. Chest tubes, thoracotomy trays, hemostatic agents, tourniquets. Dr. Martinez approached from the surgical wing. "What's the situation?" "Military training accident. Multiple penetrating trauma." Chen's eyes scanned the trauma bay setup, noting positioning that would optimize treatment flow. "We'll need 2 standing by for emergency surgery." The ambulance sirens grew louder as they approached the hospital. Chun positioned herself at the ambulance bay doors, her trauma team flanking her in formation. The first ambulance doors opened to reveal 2 Navy SEALs helping their wounded teammates. Chief Petty Officer Rodriguez climbed down from the ambulance, his uniform bearing the Trident insignia. His expression shifted when he saw the civilian medical team waiting. "You the trauma doc? We've got warriors here who need someone who understands battlefield medicine." Chin stepped forward without hesitation. "I understand trauma. That's what matters right now." Rodriguez's eyes narrowed slightly, but he nodded toward the most critical patient. "Martinez here took shrapnel to the abdomen during live fire. He's been bleeding for 30 minutes. Lost consciousness twice during transport." Chun immediately moved to the stretcher where Petty Officer Martinez lay pale and sweating. Her hands began assessment without pause, checking pulse points and examining the wound pattern. The injury showed characteristics she recognized from a different context: irregular penetration angles, debris contamination, evidence of blast pressure effects. "Get him to trauma 1 immediately," she directed her team. "Type and cross for 6 units, call surgery, and prep for emergency laparotomy." As they moved Martinez into the trauma bay, Rodriguez followed closely. "Doc, you sure your civilian hospital can handle this kind of damage? This isn't some car accident trauma." Chen's hands worked efficiently, cutting away Martinez's uniform and beginning her examination. The wound revealed itself as a complex injury involving multiple organs. She palpated carefully, noting the signs that indicated internal bleeding patterns. Rodriguez watched as Chun applied pressure dressings with techniques that seemed oddly familiar. Her positioning of the patient, her systematic approach to bleeding control, even her terminology, carried undertones that made him pay closer attention. "We need to get him to surgery now," Chun announced to her team. "This is a rough hand throw with likely liver involvement." The SEAL medical corpsman who arrived with the ambulance stepped forward. "Ma'am, I've been treating him since the incident. Vitals have been dropping steadily despite 2 units of field blood." Chun looked at the corpsman directly. "Good work keeping him stable. What was your assessment of the penetration track?" The corpsman seemed surprised by her clinical question. "Entry point suggests upward trajectory, possible involvement of liver segment 4, maybe diaphragm." Chun nodded approvingly. "That matches my examination. Let's move." As they transported Martinez to the operating suite, Rodriguez found himself studying Dr. Chen more carefully. Something about her calm under pressure, her immediate grasp of combat-related injuries, and her easy communication with military medical personnel didn't align with typical civilian physicians. The other wounded SEALs were distributed among the remaining trauma teams. Chun moved between cases efficiently, directing treatment while maintaining oversight of Martinez's surgical preparation. Her commands to nursing staff carried authority that came from somewhere beyond medical school. Dr. Martinez caught her arm as she prepared to scrub in. "Sarah, I've never seen you handle military trauma before. You seem unusually comfortable with this type of casualty." Chun paused at the scrub sink, her hands beginning the methodical washing process. "All trauma is trauma," she replied simply. But Rodriguez, watching from the observation area above the trauma bay, noticed that her scrub technique followed military medical protocols rather than civilian hospital standards. "Before you answer about where you're from, or if you've seen stories like this before, I have to ask, have you ever experienced anything like what we just witnessed?" The way Dr. Chin handled that emergency situation with such precision and authority? Share your location and let me know if you've witnessed that kind of medical expertise under pressure. The surgery began with Chun making her initial incision. Martinez's condition was exactly as severe as her assessment indicated. As she worked to control bleeding and repair damaged organs, Rodriguez remained in the observation area, his questions about Dr. Sarah Chun multiplying with each display of her unusual competency. The operating room lights cast harsh shadows as Chun worked inside Martinez's abdomen. The liver laceration was worse than initial imaging suggested, with active bleeding from multiple vessel branches. Her hands moved with precise confidence as she identified the source. Rodriguez pressed closer to the observation window above. Senior Chief Williams had arrived and now stood beside him, both men watching the surgery unfold. "That civilian doc sure knows her way around combat trauma," Williams observed quietly. Chun called for specific clamps that made the surgical technician pause. "Doctor, we don't typically stock those particular hemostats. Check the military surplus inventory," Chun replied without looking up from the surgical field. "They'll be labeled as field surgical instruments." The technician returned minutes later with exactly what she'd requested. Inside the abdomen, Chun encountered complications that would challenge most trauma surgeons. The shrapnel had created a stellate tear in the liver while nicking the inferior vena cava. She began repair using a technique that made Williams lean forward intently. "Rodriguez, you seeing this? That's not standard civilian surgical approach." Chun worked methodically through the repair, her suturing pattern following protocols designed for rapid bleeding control under austere conditions. She packed the liver injury with hemostatic gauze, then began vascular repair using running sutures that prioritized speed over cosmetic outcome. The anesthesiologist monitoring Martinez's vitals called out pressure readings. Blood pressure dropping to 80/40. He's lost significant volume. Chin's response was immediate and decisive. Push 2 more units of blood, start a second large bore 4, and prepare for possible thoracotomy if we can't get control here. Dr. Martinez, observing from the surgical field, noticed Chin's terminology. "Sarah, you're using battlefield medical language. Where did you learn those protocols?" Chun continued working without pause. Medical literature covers trauma management across all settings. Her hands demonstrated techniques that suggested more than academic knowledge. The liver repair required innovative approaches to reach damaged vessels. Chun improvised with available instruments, creating solutions that impressed even the experienced surgical team. She used field-expedient methods to achieve hemostasis in areas where traditional approaches would fail. Williams watched as Chun performed a maneuver he recognized from combat medical training. "She's using the Kandahar technique for deep liver wounds. That's not something you learn from textbooks." Rodriguez nodded grimly. Civilian trauma docs don't typically know special operations medical procedures. Chun completed the liver repair and moved to address secondary injuries. The shrapnel had also damaged peritoneal structures, requiring careful debridement and closure. Her approach to wound cleaning followed military medical doctrine for contaminated battlefield injuries. As she worked, Chun unconsciously fell into patterns that revealed extensive experience with combat trauma. She anticipated complications specific to blast injuries, prepared for problems typical of battlefield wounds, and used terminology that came naturally from different training. The surgical technician assisting her noticed Chin's unusual expertise. "Doctor, you seem very familiar with this type of injury pattern. Have you treated similar cases before?" Chin's hands paused momentarily before continuing their work. All penetrating trauma shares common characteristics regardless of mechanism. But Rodriguez, watching from above, observed that Chin's movements suggested muscle memory developed through repetition rather than occasional exposure. Her positioning, her instrument selection, even her communication with the surgical team carried efficiency that came from extensive practice. The critical phase of surgery arrived when Chun encountered massive bleeding from a retroperitoneal hematoma. Standard civilian protocols would require immediate vascular surgical consultation, but Chun proceeded independently with advanced techniques. She performed vascular control using methods that made Williams exchange glances with Rodriguez. That's Ranger medic-level shit right there. No civilian learns those procedures. Chun achieved hemostasis through a combination of direct pressure, specialized clamps, and suturing techniques designed for situations where evacuating to higher medical care wasn't possible. Her approach prioritized saving life over perfect anatomical reconstruction. Martinez's vital signs began stabilizing as Chun completed the major repairs. Blood pressure climbed back toward normal ranges while bleeding decreased significantly. The successful hemorrhage control demonstrated expertise that exceeded typical civilian trauma surgery. During the closing phase, Chun employed layered repair techniques that reflected understanding of how combat wounds heal under stress. Her closure method would minimize infection risk while providing maximum strength for early mobilization. Dr. Martinez observed Chin's final suturing pattern with growing curiosity. That's military medical approach to wound closure. Where exactly did you complete your surgical training? Chin focused on her sutures without responding directly. The important thing is that Martinez will recover fully. Rodriguez and Williams watched as Chun completed the surgery with obvious competence in handling complex combat-related trauma. Her success rate with this severity of injury suggested experience that civilian hospitals rarely provided. As Chun prepared to leave the operating room, she provided postoperative instructions that included specific monitoring protocols for blast-related injuries. Her knowledge of potential complications extended beyond what medical school typically covered. The surgical team began postoperative procedures while Chun updated the family and military personnel waiting outside. Rodriguez approached her as she finished documentation. "Doc, that was exceptional surgery under difficult circumstances. Martinez owes his life to your expertise." Chun nodded professionally. "Just doing my job." But Rodriguez noticed that her assessment of Martinez's prognosis included considerations specific to military medical concerns: timeline for return to duty, physical therapy requirements for combat readiness, and psychological factors affecting warrior recovery. Williams joined the conversation as Chun prepared to check on other patients. "Dr. Chun, I've seen a lot of military medical care over 20 years. That surgery demonstrated familiarity with combat trauma that goes beyond civilian training." Chin's expression remained carefully neutral. All trauma surgeons learn to adapt techniques based on injury patterns. "If you'll excuse me, I need to check on the other patients." As she walked away, Rodriguez turned to Williams with certainty growing in his voice. "Senior Chief, that woman has definitely treated combat casualties before. Question is where and when." 48 hours after the surgery, Martinez was sitting up in his hospital bed, his recovery progressing faster than typical abdominal trauma cases. Rodriguez stood at the nurse's station, scrolling through his laptop as he researched Dr. Sarachin's professional background. The initial search revealed impressive credentials: medical degree from Johns Hopkins, surgical residency at Massachusetts General, current trauma surgery position at Mercy General for 3 years. But Rodriguez is trained. I caught inconsistencies that civilian personnel might miss. Senior Chief Williams approached the nurse's station carrying coffee for both men. Find anything interesting about our mystery surgeon? Rodriguez pointed to his screen. Look at this timeline. Medical school graduation 2015, residency completion 2020, current position 2021. That's clean progression, but there's something missing. Williams leaned over to examine the information. What kind of missing? Her undergraduate degree shows completion in 2007. 8 years between bachelor's degree and medical school enrollment. Rodriguez highlighted the gap with his cursor. Most people go straight through, maybe take a year off. 8 years is unusual. The timeline discrepancy struck Williams as significant. People don't typically wait that long unless something else occupied their time. Military service, maybe? Rodriguez navigated to medical licensing databases and military personnel records. Dr. Chin's medical license showed no military service history, but something about the gap period bothered him. He'd seen similar patterns in veterans who used educational benefits after completing service obligations. A nurse approached them from Martinez's room. "Excuse me, are you the SEALs who brought Petty Officer Martinez in? He's asking for Dr. Chin specifically." Rodriguez and Williams followed the nurse back to Martinez's room, where they found him alert and mobile beyond expectations for his injury severity. Martinez looked up as they entered. "Senior Chief, that doctor saved my life with techniques I've never seen before. She knew exactly how to handle blast-related trauma." Williams pulled a chair closer to the bed. "What do you mean by blast-related trauma?" Martinez shifted carefully to face them. The way she approached my injuries, her understanding of shrapnel patterns, even her questions about the incident. She knew things that civilian doctors don't typically know about combat wounds. Rodriguez exchanged glances with Williams. The pattern was becoming clearer, but they needed more information to confirm their suspicions. Dr. Chun appeared in the doorway, carrying Martinez's latest test results. Her presence immediately drew attention from all 3 men. "Good morning, Martinez. Your blood work shows excellent progress." As she reviewed his chart, Chun unconsciously fell into military-style communication patterns. "Your hemoglobin levels are back within acceptable ranges. Physical therapy can begin tomorrow if you maintain current recovery trajectory." Martinez noticed her terminology immediately. "Ma'am, you sound like you've briefed medical status to military personnel before." Chin's pause was barely perceptible before she responded. Medical terminology tends to be precise regardless of setting. She moved to examine Martinez's surgical site with professional efficiency. Rodriguez watched as Chun performed her examination using assessment techniques that seemed familiar. Her systematic approach to checking wound healing, her evaluation of mobility restrictions, and her questions about pain levels followed protocols he recognized from military medical evaluations. Williams decided to test his growing suspicion. "Dr. Chun, Martinez here was wondering about timeline for return to full duty. What's your assessment?" Chun looked up from her examination with immediate understanding of the question. "Based on wound location and healing progress, I'd estimate 6 to 8 weeks before full operational readiness, assuming no complications with physical conditioning requirements." The 3 SEALs exchanged meaningful looks. Civilian doctors typically discussed return to work, not operational readiness. Chin's terminology revealed familiarity with military medical standards that exceeded normal civilian knowledge. Martinez pressed further. "Ma'am, your assessment matches what our unit medical officer would say. You seem very familiar with military fitness standards." Chin finished her documentation before responding. Patient recovery goals should always account for their specific physical requirements. Martinez needs to return to demanding work, so rehabilitation must prepare him accordingly. But Rodriguez noticed that Chin's understanding of those demanding work requirements demonstrated knowledge that went beyond general fitness. She understood operational tempo, physical stress factors, and equipment load considerations that civilian medical professionals rarely encountered. Williams made his decision to probe more directly. Dr. Chun, your expertise with combat-related trauma is exceptional. Have you worked with military medical personnel before? Chin's expression remained professionally neutral. Trauma surgery requires familiarity with all types of injuries. Combat-related wounds have specific characteristics that any trauma surgeon should understand. However, Rodriguez observed that Chin's comfort level with military terminology, her immediate grasp of operational medical requirements, and her natural communication style with military personnel suggested direct experience rather than academic knowledge. As Chun prepared to leave, she provided Martinez with recovery instructions that included specific guidance about gradual return to physical training, equipment carrying restrictions, and timeline considerations for different operational activities. Her knowledge was too detailed and practical for purely civilian experience. Martinez called out as she reached the door. "Ma'am, I wanted to thank you again. Your surgical technique reminded me of the medical care I received downrange. Very professional and effective." Chin turned back with a slight smile. "I'm glad you're recovering well. Take care of yourself." After she left, the three men sat in contemplative silence. Rodriguez finally spoke what they were all thinking. "Senior Chief, that woman has definitely provided medical care to military personnel in operational settings. The question is whether she was civilian contractor support or something else entirely." Williams nodded slowly. "Her knowledge is too specific and practical for contractor work. She understands our world from the inside." Rodriguez opened his laptop again, this time searching military databases with different parameters. If Dr. Sarah Chun had military medical background, there should be records somewhere in the system. Martinez adjusted his position carefully. Whatever her background, she knew exactly how to handle my injuries. I've been treated by some of the best military medical personnel, and she's right up there with the best of them. Williams stood to leave. "Rodriguez, keep digging into her background. Something about that 8-year gap bothers me. People don't disappear for 8 years without good reason." Rodriguez closed his laptop with growing determination. "Roger that, Senior Chief. If Dr. Chun has military medical background, I'm going to find it. Too many things don't add up for this to be coincidence." As they prepared to leave the hospital, Williams made a mental note to contact Naval Special Warfare Command about running a more comprehensive background check on Dr. Sarachin. Her expertise level demanded official investigation. Senior Chief Williams stood outside Mercy General Hospital 3 days later, holding a formal invitation letter on Naval Special Warfare letterhead. He found Dr. Chun finishing her shift documentation at the trauma department desk. "Dr. Chun, I hope you have a few minutes. I wanted to personally extend an invitation from our command." Chun looked up from her charts with cautious interest. "What kind of invitation?" Williams handed her the letter with official military courtesy. "Our commanding officer would like to invite you to visit our training facility as our guest. It's a small token of appreciation for the exceptional care you provided our personnel." Chun examined the invitation carefully, noting the official seals and formal language. "This is very thoughtful, but I'm not sure it's necessary." Williams adopted a more persuasive tone. "Ma'am, Martinez specifically requested that we invite you. He wants you to see the training environment where the accident occurred, and our medical staff would appreciate meeting the surgeon who saved one of our own." After a moment's consideration, Chun nodded slowly. "I suppose a brief visit wouldn't hurt. What would be convenient?" Williams smiled with satisfaction. "Tomorrow afternoon works perfectly. We'll arrange transportation and provide a complete tour of our facilities." The next day, Chun arrived at the Naval Special Warfare Training Compound in civilian clothes, her medical bag accompanying her out of professional habit. Williams met her at the security checkpoint, where her visitor credentials were processed with unusual efficiency. As they walked through the facility, Chin's eyes automatically cataloged medical considerations: distance to nearest trauma center, helicopter landing zones, and locations where training injuries might occur. Her situational awareness impressed Williams, who noticed her tactical assessment of the environment. The tour began at the medical facilities, where Chun met the unit's senior medical personnel. Hospital Corpsman First Class Patterson showed her their trauma treatment capabilities with obvious pride in their equipment and training. Ma'am, we maintain combat hospital-level capabilities here for training accidents and emergency medical response. Patterson gestured toward surgical equipment that made Chun pause with recognition. This is impressive medical capability for a training facility. Chun examined the surgical instruments with familiarity that surprised Patterson. You maintain full surgical readiness? Patterson nodded enthusiastically. Yes, ma'am. We never know when training evolutions might require immediate surgical intervention. Our medical personnel cross-train on both battlefield medicine and hospital procedures. Chin's questions about their medical protocols demonstrated understanding that went beyond civilian curiosity. She asked about blood storage, emergency surgical procedures, and evacuation timelines with knowledge that suggested personal experience with military medical operations. Williams observed Chin's comfort level in the military medical environment. She moved through their facilities with ease, understood their equipment without explanation, and communicated with their medical personnel using shared professional language. The tour continued to training areas where Chin saw obstacle courses, shooting ranges, and tactical training facilities. At each location, she unconsciously evaluated medical risk factors and emergency response requirements with expertise that impressed their safety personnel. At the shooting range, Williams decided to test his growing suspicions about Chin's background. Dr. Chun, since you saved one of our marksmen, would you like to try some shooting? Consider it part of our appreciation. Chin hesitated visibly. I appreciate the offer, but I don't have experience with firearms. Williams produced a basic M4 carbine with encouraging smile. No problem. We'll start with something simple and provide complete instruction. Chun accepted the weapon with obvious reluctance, but Williams immediately noticed her grip and stance. Despite claiming inexperience, she held the rifle with proper form and natural comfort that suggested extensive training. Patterson positioned himself as instructor, explaining basic safety procedures that Chun followed with perfect compliance. Her handling of the weapon showed muscle memory that contradicted her claimed inexperience. When Chun aimed at the target, her breathing technique and trigger discipline impressed both instructors. She fired her first magazine with concentration that produced results far beyond beginner expectations. Patterson checked the target through binoculars and called out the results. Ma'am, that's expert marksman-level shooting. Are you sure you haven't done this before? Chun lowered the rifle with genuine surprise at her performance. I guess medical school, steady hands, transfer to other precision activities. But Williams recognized the shooting fundamentals Chun had demonstrated. Her stance, sight alignment, and trigger control followed military marksmanship training rather than natural talent or medical precision. Rodriguez arrived at the range in time to observe Chin's shooting performance. He watched as she fired a second magazine with even better results, her comfort level with the weapon increasing noticeably. Williams approached Rodriguez quietly while Chun continued shooting under Patterson's supervision. That woman has definitely received professional firearms training. Nobody shoots like that without extensive instruction. Rodriguez nodded grimly as he watched Chun reload with efficient movements that suggested automatic muscle memory. Her weapon handling skills matched her medical expertise in raising questions about her claimed civilian background. Chun completed her shooting session with scores that placed her in the top percentage of military marksmen. As she returned the weapon to Patterson, her demeanor showed satisfaction that seemed familiar rather than surprise. Williams made his decision to escalate their unofficial investigation. Dr. Chun, your shooting ability is remarkable for someone without experience. Have you considered that you might have natural talent for marksmanship? Chun collected her belongings with care to maintain her cover story. It was beginner's luck, I'm sure. Thank you for the educational experience. But Rodriguez had observed enough evidence to convince him that Dr. Sarah Chun possessed military training that she was actively concealing. Her medical expertise, tactical awareness, and marksmanship skills created a pattern that demanded official investigation. As they escorted Chun back to the facility entrance, Williams and Rodriguez exchanged glances that confirmed their shared suspicions. Both men understood that civilian doctors don't demonstrate this level of military competency without extensive background they were hiding. Chun departed with polite thanks for the tour, but Rodriguez was already planning his next steps to uncover her true identity. The evidence was mounting that Dr. Sarah Chun had military medical and tactical training that exceeded anything civilian education could provide. Williams watched her vehicle leave the compound with growing certainty that they would need to contact higher authority about Dr. Chen's background. Too many skills aligned perfectly with special operations medical training for this to be coincidental. The following week, Gunnery Sergeant Patterson approached Williams with a proposal that had been weighing on his mind since Chen's visit. "Senior Chief, I've been thinking about Dr. Chen's shooting performance. Her fundamentals were too solid for beginner's luck." Williams looked up from his administrative paperwork with interest. "What are you suggesting, Gunny?" Patterson shifted his weight thoughtfully. "Request permission to invite her back for advanced marksmanship evaluation. If she's got natural talent, we should find out how deep it goes." Williams considered the tactical implications of Patterson's suggestion. The expert shooting Chun had demonstrated warranted further investigation, and advanced testing would either confirm or eliminate their suspicions about her background. "Approved. Set up precision shooting evaluation and see what she's really capable of." Patterson contacted Chun the next day with an invitation that sounded routine. "Dr. Chun, our command would like to invite you back for advanced marksmanship training as part of our community outreach program. You showed such natural ability that we'd like to help develop your skills further." Chun hesitated before accepting, but her curiosity about her own unexpected shooting ability overcame her caution. "I suppose additional training could be valuable for understanding trauma ballistics." When Chun arrived at the facility, Patterson led her directly to the long-range precision shooting course. The 800-meter range stretched across varied terrain with targets positioned at multiple distances and elevations. "Today we'll evaluate your potential for precision marksmanship," Patterson explained as he presented a bolt-action sniper rifle system. "This is significantly more challenging than the basic rifle work you did last week." Chun examined the weapon with obvious appreciation for its precision engineering. The scope system, bipod configuration, and overall build quality impressed her in ways that suggested familiarity with similar equipment. Patterson began instruction on ballistics principles, wind reading, and elevation calculations. Chun absorbed the information with comprehension that exceeded normal civilian learning capacity. Her questions demonstrated understanding of concepts that typically required extensive study. As Chun prepared for her first shot at 400 meters, Patterson observed her positioning technique. She naturally adopted prone shooting position with proper body alignment, consistent cheek weld, and breathing control that matched military sniper training protocols. Chun's first shot struck center mass, surprising both her and Patterson. Her follow-up shots grouped tightly around the target's center, demonstrating consistency that indicated significant previous training. Patterson moved the target to 600 meters for increased difficulty. Chun's performance remained exceptional, with her groups maintaining precision despite the extended range. Her ability to compensate for wind and elevation exceeded beginner capabilities. Williams arrived to observe as Patterson pushed the evaluation to maximum range. At 800 meters, Chun faced the most challenging shot available on their facility. The target required expert-level ballistics knowledge and shooting fundamentals. Chun studied the range conditions carefully, noting wind patterns and atmospheric factors that would affect bullet trajectory. Her analysis demonstrated understanding of external ballistics that impressed both instructors. "Dr. Chun," Patterson called out, "this shot requires precise calculation of bullet drop and wind compensation. Take your time and apply everything we've discussed." Chun settled into shooting position with concentration that seemed familiar rather than newly learned. Her preparation routine followed systematic approaches used by trained marksmen rather than civilian shooting enthusiasts. The first 800-meter shot struck the target's center ring with precision that made Williams step closer to verify the result through spotting scope. Chun had achieved expert-level accuracy on her first attempt at maximum range. Patterson called for 2 additional shots to confirm the result wasn't coincidental. Chin's second and third shots grouped within inches of her first, creating a pattern that demonstrated mastery rather than luck. Williams approached Chun as she completed the shooting evaluation. "Dr. Chun, your performance today exceeds what we typically see from experienced military marksmen. Your natural ability is extraordinary." Chun accepted the compliment while carefully avoiding discussion of how she had acquired such skills. "The principles you taught were very clear, and the equipment is excellent quality." But Patterson recognized that Chin's shooting demonstrated muscle memory and training that couldn't be developed during 2 brief range sessions. Her breathing techniques, trigger control, and ballistics knowledge reflected extensive previous experience. Rodriguez joined them as Chun prepared to leave the range. He had been observing from the control tower and witnessed shooting that convinced him Chun possessed professional-level marksmanship training. "Ma'am, I've been shooting competitively for 15 years, and your precision work today matches what I see from special operations snipers." Patterson nodded in agreement with Rodriguez's assessment. Chun gathered her equipment while maintaining her cover story carefully. "I appreciate the excellent instruction. The techniques you taught were very effective." However, Williams understood that the techniques Chun had demonstrated went far beyond what they had taught during the session. Her advanced knowledge and execution suggested training that civilian education couldn't provide. As Chun departed the facility, Patterson turned to Williams with certainty in his voice. "Senior Chief, that woman has received professional sniper training somewhere. Her skills are too advanced for civilian background." Williams nodded grimly as he watched Chin's vehicle leave the compound. "Rodriguez, it's time to contact Naval Special Warfare Command about running comprehensive background investigation on Dr. Sarah Chun." Rodriguez opened his secure communication device to initiate the inquiry. Her medical expertise, tactical awareness, and now expert marksmanship create a pattern that demands official investigation. The 3 men understood that Chin's demonstrated capabilities exceeded what any civilian could possess without extensive military training. Her ability to perform at expert levels in multiple military specialties suggested background that she was actively concealing. Williams made his decision to escalate the investigation to command level. Too many coincidences pointed toward Chun having special operations, medical, and tactical background that warranted official inquiry. Patterson secured the weapons used during Chin's evaluation while considering the implications of her performance. Expert marksmen required years of training to achieve the precision Chun had demonstrated in single session. Rodriguez began drafting his report to higher command about Chin's capabilities and the growing evidence that suggested military background far beyond what her civilian credentials indicated. Rodriguez sat at his secure terminal in the Naval Special Warfare Command Intelligence Office, initiating the official background investigation he'd been planning since Chin's remarkable shooting demonstration. His initial query through Navy Personnel Command would determine whether Dr. Sarah Chun had any military service record. The first search returned results within minutes. Dr. Sarah Chun, medical degree Johns Hopkins 2015, surgical residency Massachusetts, General 2020, current employment Mercy, General Hospital. No military service indicated in personnel files. Rodriguez frowned at the clean civilian record. He'd expected some indication of military medical service given Chin's obvious expertise with combat trauma and tactical medicine. The complete absence of military connection seemed implausible. Senior Chief Williams approached Rodriguez's workstation carrying classified access credentials. "I contacted Naval Special Warfare Command about expanding our background check. They're authorizing deeper investigation given the security implications." Williams entered his security clearance codes to access personnel databases normally restricted to intelligence personnel. The expanded search would examine classified service records, special operations assignments, and medical personnel with security clearances. The second-level search began processing through multiple databases simultaneously. Rodriguez watched as the system cross-referenced Chin's personal information against active duty records, veteran databases, and classified assignment histories. Initial results appeared unchanged. No military service record found for Dr. Sarah Chun. But Williams noticed an anomaly in the search parameters. The system is only checking current name. Request alternate name search protocols. Rodriguez modified his search to include maiden names, previous legal names, and alias databases used for classified personnel protection. Military personnel operating under assumed identities would maintain separate records for security purposes. The modified search triggered security protocols requiring additional authorization. Williams provided his special operations access codes while Rodriguez waited for system approval. The delay indicated they were approaching classified information requiring careful handling. 20 minutes later, the secure terminal displayed results that made both men lean forward with intense interest. A classified file appeared with Dr. Sarah Chin's photograph and personal identifiers, but listing military service under different name designation. Williams read the classification headers aloud. Navy Personnel Command, Special Access Required, Protected Identity Status. Rodriguez, we just found why there's no standard military record. The classified file revealed Chin's true service history. Hospital Corpsman First Class Chun, Sarah M. Assigned Naval Special Warfare Command 2007-2019. 12 years of Special Operations Medical Service, including multiple combat deployments and classified assignments. Rodriguez scrolled through deployment records that explained Chin's exceptional combat medical expertise. Afghanistan 200-82009, Iraq 201-02011, Syria 201-42015, multiple other classified locations listed only as operation security restrictions. Williams examined Chin's medical specialization codes with growing amazement. Combat trauma specialist, field surgical technician, designated marksman qualified, special operations medical advisor. Her credentials explained every skill they'd observed. The file contained commendation records that detailed Chin's exceptional service performance. She had received multiple decorations for medical excellence under combat conditions, including situations where her marksmanship skills had protected wounded personnel during evacuation operations. Rodriguez found the information explaining Chin's transition to civilian status. Medical discharge following IED incident, Kandahar Province, Afghanistan, 2019. Full medical honors, veteran education benefits approved, security clearance maintained for consultation purposes. But Williams discovered additional information that explained Chin's current protected status. The file contained witness protection protocols established following Chin's testimony in war crimes investigation. She had provided evidence against military contractors engaged in illegal activities. Rodriguez read the threat assessment section with understanding of why Chin's identity required protection. Military contractors had made specific threats against Chun following her testimony, necessitating identity change and relocation for security purposes. The protected identity status explained every aspect of Chin's current situation. Sarah Chun was her legal civilian name, established through witness protection protocols. Her medical degree had been earned using veteran education benefits while maintaining security clearance for potential recall to active duty. Williams found deployment details that impressed even experienced special operations personnel. Chun had served with SEAL medical support teams during some of the most dangerous assignments in recent military history. Her combat medical expertise represented the highest level of special operations training. Rodriguez discovered that Chin's sniper qualification wasn't secondary training, but primary specialization. She had served as designated marksman for medical teams operating in hostile territory, responsible for both medical support and precision fire protection of wounded personnel. The file contained performance evaluations that explained why Chin's skills seemed so exceptional. Her superiors had consistently rated her among the top medical personnel in special operations community, with particular recognition for her ability to provide medical care while maintaining combat effectiveness. Williams located the war crimes testimony that had triggered Chen's protected status. She had witnessed military contractor personnel engaging in illegal medical experimentation on wounded combatants. Her testimony had resulted in multiple prosecutions and significant security threats. Rodriguez found recent updates showing that threats against Chun remained active. Military contractor personnel had continued surveillance and intimidation efforts, requiring ongoing security measures to protect her civilian identity and location. The classified file contained contact protocols for coordinating with Chen's security handlers if her identity became compromised. Williams noted that their investigation might have triggered security alerts about unauthorized access to Chen's protected information. Williams printed the essential information while Rodriguez secured the computer terminal. Both men understood that they now possessed classified knowledge about Chen's true identity and the security implications of her protected status. Rodriguez closed the classified database access with careful attention to security protocols. Senior Chief, we need to decide how to handle this information. Dr. Chun is operating under federal witness protection. Williams locked the printed materials in his secure file cabinet while considering their options. Her identity protection explains everything about her behavior and expertise. Question is whether we maintain operational security or approach her directly about what we've discovered. The investigation had reached a critical decision point. Rodriguez and Williams possessed complete knowledge of Chen's true background while understanding that her security depended on maintaining her civilian cover identity. Williams made his command decision about their next course of action. We approach Dr. Chen directly and discuss what we've learned. She needs to know that her cover identity may be compromised through our investigation. Williams contacted Chen's hospital the following morning, requesting a private meeting at the Naval Special Warfare Facility. His message was carefully worded to avoid alarming her, while emphasizing the importance of their discussion. Dr. Chun, this is Senior Chief Williams. We need to discuss some information that's come to light regarding your background. Could you meet with Rodriguez and me this afternoon at our facility? It's important that we speak privately. Chen's response carried obvious tension despite her professional tone. Is there a problem with something I've done? Williams chose his words carefully to avoid revealing their knowledge over unsecured communication. No problem at all, ma'am. We just have some questions that require discreet discussion. Your expertise has raised certain considerations that we need to address. Chen agreed to the meeting with reluctance that suggested she understood the implications of their request. I can be there at 1,400 hours if that works for your schedule. When Chen arrived at the SEAL facility that afternoon, Williams and Rodriguez escorted her to a secure briefing room typically used for classified discussions. The formal setting immediately conveyed the serious nature of their conversation. Williams gestured for Chun to take a seat at the conference table, where he had placed a manila folder containing printed materials from their investigation. Dr. Chun, we want to be direct with you about why we requested this meeting. Chen's expression remained carefully controlled as she observed the formal briefing setup. Her tactical awareness assessed the room's security features and the positioning of both men with expertise that confirmed their suspicions about her background. Rodriguez opened the folder to reveal Chen's photograph from her classified service record alongside her military personnel information. Ma'am, we conducted an official background investigation following your demonstrations of military expertise that exceeded civilian capabilities. Chen's composure shifted noticeably as she recognized her military photograph and service documentation. Her cover identity had been compromised through official channels, creating security implications that extended beyond simple curiosity. Williams presented additional pages showing Chen's deployment history and special operations assignments. Hospital Corpsman First Class Sarah Chun, Naval Special Warfare Command, 12 years of active duty, including multiple combat deployments and classified operations. Chun maintained silence while reviewing the documentation that revealed the complete scope of their knowledge about her true background. Her security training had prepared her for this possibility, but the reality of exposure created immediate concerns about threat implications. Rodriguez continued the briefing with information about Chen's protected status. We also discovered your current witness protection protocols and the security threats that necessitated your civilian identity change. Chen's response was measured and professional. Gentlemen, you've accessed classified information that could compromise ongoing security operations. What are your intentions regarding this knowledge? Williams leaned forward to address her security concerns directly. Ma'am, our investigation was conducted through official channels due to national security considerations. Your exceptional capabilities suggested possible security implications that required verification. Chin understood that their discovery had been inevitable given her repeated demonstrations of military expertise. She had maintained operational security as long as possible, but her medical and tactical skills had created evidence that trained personnel would eventually investigate. Rodriguez explained their reasoning for the investigation. Dr. Chun, your combat medical expertise, tactical awareness, and expert marksmanship created a pattern that demanded official inquiry. We had to determine whether you represented security risk or asset. Chun accepted their explanation while calculating the implications of her exposed identity. My current status requires operational security to maintain personal safety and program integrity. Your knowledge creates complications that need careful management. Williams addressed her security concerns with professional understanding. Ma'am, we're prepared to maintain operational security regarding your identity while discussing how your expertise might benefit our medical training programs. Chen's tension decreased slightly as she recognized their professional approach to her situation. Her experience with special operations personnel had taught her to evaluate intentions based on actions rather than words. Rodriguez presented their proposal for moving forward. We'd like to discuss potential consultation arrangements that would utilize your expertise while maintaining your cover identity and security requirements. Chun considered their offer while assessing the tactical situation. Her blown cover created risks, but these men understood operational security and could potentially provide additional protection rather than increased exposure. Williams emphasized their commitment to her security. Your identity and protected status will remain classified information within our command structure. We understand the threats you face and respect the sacrifices you've made for national security. Chun made her decision to acknowledge her true background while establishing operational parameters. Gentlemen, I am Hospital Corpsman First Class Chun, currently operating under protected civilian identity following witness protection protocols established after war crimes testimony. Rodriguez expressed appreciation for her service and recognition of her current situation. Ma'am, your military service record is exceptional, and your transition to civilian medicine demonstrates continued commitment to saving lives. Chun explained her motivation for maintaining medical practice. After my discharge, I chose civilian trauma surgery as a way to continue serving without compromising security requirements. Medical skills transfer effectively between military and civilian applications. Williams discussed their facility's medical training needs that could benefit from Chen's expertise. Our corpsmen and medical personnel would gain valuable knowledge from your combat medical experience and civilian trauma surgery techniques. Chen outlined the security constraints that would govern any potential collaboration. Any consultation would require maintaining my civilian identity, limited exposure to personnel who don't require knowledge of my background, and coordination with my security handlers. Rodriguez confirmed their understanding of her requirements. We can structure any arrangement to protect your operational security while benefiting from your exceptional medical expertise. Chen agreed to consider their proposal while emphasizing ongoing security concerns. I need to consult with my handlers about potential collaboration and ensure that increased contact doesn't compromise security protocols. Williams concluded the meeting with commitment to supporting Chen's security needs. Ma'am, Your service to this country has been exceptional, and we want to help protect you while benefiting from your continued expertise. Chun departed with understanding that her relationship with the SEAL community had fundamentally changed. Her cover identity remained intact, but these men now knew her true background and had offered partnership rather than exposure. 2 days after the revelation meeting, Chin returned to the SEAL facility to provide the complete context Williams and Rodriguez needed to understand her situation. She carried a secured briefcase containing documentation that would explain the circumstances requiring her protected status. Williams and Rodriguez met her in the same secure briefing room, this time prepared to receive classified information about the threats that had necessitated Chin's identity change. Chin's demeanor showed the relief of no longer maintaining her cover story with these men. Gentlemen, I want to explain why witness protection became necessary and how it affects any potential collaboration between us. Chin opened her briefcase to reveal legal documents and threat assessment reports. Rodriguez prepared to take notes, while Williams activated the room's recording system for official documentation. Ma'am, we need to understand the full scope of your situation to provide appropriate support. Chin began with the incident that had triggered her protected status. In 2018, during my final deployment to Afghanistan, I witnessed military contractor personnel conducting unauthorized medical experiments on wounded enemy combatants at a forward operating base. Williams leaned forward with serious attention. What kind of medical experiments? Chun consulted her documentation before continuing. Blackwater subsidiary personnel were testing interrogation drugs and pain management pharmaceuticals on prisoners without medical necessity or ethical oversight. They were using wounded combatants as unwilling test subjects. Rodriguez understood the implications immediately. That constitutes war crimes under Geneva Convention protocols. Did you report these activities through proper channels? Shin nodded grimly. I documented everything and reported to command, but initial investigation was stalled due to contractor connections with senior personnel. The activities continued despite my reports. Williams recognized the institutional challenges Chun had faced. Military contractor influence can complicate official investigations. What actions did you take when reporting failed? Chun explained her decision to escalate beyond military channels. I contacted Department of Justice investigators and provided evidence including photographs, medical records, and witness testimony about the illegal activities. Rodriguez appreciated the courage required for Chen's actions. That level of whistleblowing creates significant personal risk, especially against well-connected contractor organizations. Chen showed them threat assessment documents that detailed the consequences of her testimony. Within weeks of providing evidence to federal investigators, I received direct threats from contractor personnel warning me to recant my testimony. Williams examined the threat documentation with growing concern. These appear to be credible threats with specific details about your personal information and family members. Chun confirmed the severity of her situation. The threats included my home address, daily schedule, and detailed knowledge of my military assignments. They demonstrated capability to act on their threats. Rodriguez reviewed federal investigation results that Chin provided. Your testimony resulted in multiple prosecutions and significant financial penalties against the contractor organizations involved. Chin explained the ongoing nature of her security concerns. The prosecutions created lasting animosity from contractor personnel who lost careers and faced criminal penalties. Some individuals remain committed to retaliation. Williams understood why witness protection had become necessary. With that level of threat persistence, federal marshals would have recommended identity change and relocation for your safety. Chin detailed her transition process from military service to protected civilian status. Medical discharge was expedited due to security concerns, and veteran education benefits were approved for immediate use to establish civilian credentials quickly. Rodriguez asked about her choice of medical specialization for civilian career. Why trauma surgery rather than other medical fields that might have lower profile? Chen's response revealed her continued commitment to service. Trauma surgery allows me to use my combat medical training while serving civilian populations. I can save lives without compromising operational security. Williams recognized the psychological benefits of Chen's career choice. Maintaining medical mission provides continuity with your military service while adapting to civilian environment. Chen explained how her civilian medical practice had evolved over 3 years. I've treated over 200 trauma cases using techniques developed during military service. The skills transfer effectively between combat and civilian trauma. Rodriguez inquired about ongoing security protocols affecting Chen's daily life. What restrictions do you face in civilian medical practice due to security requirements? Chen outlined the operational constraints that governed her civilian identity. Limited social media presence, careful background screening for personal relationships, and coordination with security handlers for any significant life changes. Williams asked about Chen's comfort level with increased contact with military personnel. Does collaboration with our facility create additional security risks that concern you? Chen considered the tactical implications carefully. Working with special operations personnel actually provides additional security through informal protection network. You understand operational security requirements that civilian colleagues don't. Rodriguez suggested potential benefits of formal collaboration arrangements. Official consultation status might provide additional legal protection while utilizing your expertise for training purposes. Chen agreed with their assessment while maintaining security awareness. Structured collaboration could benefit both communities while providing cover for increased military contact that might otherwise appear suspicious. Williams proposed next steps for developing formal consultation arrangements. We can coordinate with your security handlers to establish protocols that protect your identity while enabling medical training collaboration. Chen expressed cautious optimism about the potential partnership. Working with special operations medical personnel again would provide professional satisfaction while maintaining security requirements. Rodriguez summarized their understanding of Chen's situation and requirements. You're committed to continuing medical service while maintaining security protocols necessitated by your courageous testimony against war crimes. Chen confirmed their assessment while emphasizing ongoing vigilance requirements. The threats haven't disappeared, but working with people who understand operational security makes collaboration possible without compromising safety. Williams concluded the briefing with commitment to supporting Chen's security while benefiting from her expertise. Ma'am, your service record speaks for itself, and we're honored to work with someone who demonstrated such courage in defending military medical ethics. Chen accepted their support while maintaining realistic assessment of ongoing risks. Partnership with your community provides mutual benefits while helping ensure that the sacrifices required for my testimony continue serving positive purposes. Williams convened a classified briefing with his SEAL team leadership the following morning to discuss Chen's situation and determine their collective response. The meeting included Rodriguez, Patterson, and 4 other senior enlisted personnel who had observed Chen's exceptional capabilities. Senior Chief Martinez opened the discussion by reviewing what they had learned about Chen's background. Team, we now know that Dr. Sarah Chun is Hospital Corpsman First Class Chun, 12-year veteran of Naval Special Warfare with exceptional combat medical record. Patterson raised the security implications that concerned the entire team. Her witness protection status means she's facing ongoing threats from military contractor personnel who want retaliation for her war crimes testimony. Rodriguez presented the tactical assessment that had emerged from their investigation. Chen's medical expertise, marksmanship skills, and tactical awareness represent the highest level of special operations training. She's exactly the kind of asset we want protecting our personnel. Chief Petty Officer Thompson asked about the team's obligations regarding Chen's security. What's our responsibility toward a fellow warrior who's operating under threat due to her courage in reporting war crimes? Williams addressed Thompson's question with conviction that reflected SEAL Brotherhood values. She put her career and safety at risk to uphold military medical ethics. We have duty to protect someone who demonstrated that level of courage and integrity. The team discussed Chen's current civilian medical practice and how it served both her security needs and continued service mission. Her trauma surgery work allows her to save lives while maintaining cover identity that protects her from ongoing threats. Rodriguez proposed formal action to support Chen's situation. I recommend we establish unofficial liaison relationship with Dr. Chun that provides security consultation while benefiting from her medical expertise. Patterson supported Rodriguez's proposal with additional considerations. Official consultation status gives us cover for increased contact while providing her with informal protection network through our community. Martinez emphasized the mutual benefits of partnership with Chun. Her combat medical experience, combined with civilian trauma surgery training, could significantly enhance our medical readiness and training programs. Williams polled the team for consensus on supporting Chen's security while developing collaboration arrangements. The unanimous decision reflected SEAL community values regarding protection of worthy personnel facing unjust threats. Thompson suggested practical measures for providing security support. We can establish rotating surveillance protocols to monitor for contractor personnel who might be tracking Dr. Chen's activities. Rodriguez offered to coordinate with Chen's federal security handlers to ensure their informal protection efforts didn't conflict with official witness protection protocols. Patterson proposed medical training exchange that would benefit both communities while providing cover for increased military contact. Chun could train our corpsmen in civilian trauma techniques while learning our latest combat medical protocols. The team discussed operational security requirements for protecting Chen's identity while enabling collaboration. All contact would maintain her civilian cover story while limiting exposure to personnel who didn't require knowledge of her background. Williams assigned specific responsibilities for implementing their support decision. Rodriguez would maintain primary liaison with Chun, Patterson would coordinate medical training opportunities, and Thompson would organize informal security monitoring. Martinez raised concerns about potential contractor surveillance that might threaten Chen's location. We need intelligence gathering about contractor personnel who might be tracking her activities. Rodriguez volunteered to utilize special operations intelligence networks to identify potential threats against Chun. Our community has resources for monitoring contractor activities that could affect her security. The team established communication protocols for coordinating Chen's protection without compromising witness protection procedures. All contact would be documented and shared with her security handlers to maintain transparency. Patterson suggested establishing Chun as unofficial medical advisor to provide official cover for ongoing collaboration. The position would explain increased contact while utilizing her expertise for legitimate training purposes. Williams approved the medical advisor designation while emphasizing security requirements. Chen's identity protection remains priority, but we can formalize collaboration in ways that serve both communities. Thompson proposed quarterly training sessions where Chun could work with SEAL medical personnel without exposing her background to unnecessary personnel. Limited exposure would protect her while maximizing training benefits. The team discussed long-term implications of supporting Chen's situation. Their protection efforts could enable her to continue serving both civilian and military communities while maintaining security against ongoing threats. Rodriguez summarized their commitment to Chen's welfare and professional success. She demonstrated exceptional courage in defending military medical ethics, and we have obligation to ensure that courage doesn't result in ongoing victimization. Martinez emphasized the honor of working with someone of Chen's caliber and character. Her service record and moral courage represent the best values of Special Operations community. Williams concluded the briefing with formal team decision. Unanimous vote. We provide informal security support and professional collaboration for Hospital Corpsman First Class Chun, while maintaining all operational security requirements for her protection. Patterson accepted responsibility for approaching Chun with their decision and coordinating initial collaboration arrangements. The team's support would be offered as recognition of her service and acknowledgement of mutual professional benefits. Thompson volunteered to begin discreet surveillance for potential contractor threats against Chun. Early warning about security risks would enable proactive protection rather than reactive response. Rodriguez committed to maintaining liaison with federal security handlers to ensure team actions supported rather than complicated official protection protocols. The SEAL team had reached unanimous decision to protect and support a fellow warrior whose courage had created ongoing security risks. Their brotherhood extended to include hospital corpsman First Class Chun, now serving as Dr. Sarah Chun under civilian identity. Williams dismissed the briefing with clear understanding that their team now had additional mission, ensuring that Chen's courageous testimony against war crimes didn't result in successful retaliation from contractor personnel seeking revenge. 3 weeks after the SEAL team's protection decision, Chen arrived at the Naval Special Warfare Facility for her first official training session as civilian medical advisor. Patterson had coordinated the event to provide advanced trauma training for SEAL corpsmen while allowing Chun to learn updated combat medical protocols. Chun entered the medical training facility carrying both civilian trauma surgery equipment and her old military medical bag. The familiar environment brought back memories of her active duty service while representing her new collaborative relationship with the Special Operations community. 8 SEAL corpsmen assembled for the training session, unaware of Chen's true background but understanding that she possessed exceptional medical expertise worthy of their attention. Patterson introduced her as a civilian trauma surgeon with special interest in military medical applications. Dr. Chun will be teaching advanced civilian trauma techniques that have direct application to battlefield medicine, Patterson explained to the assembled corpsmen. Her experience with complex trauma cases provides valuable knowledge for our medical training. Chun began the session by demonstrating surgical procedures she had developed for treating multiple trauma patients simultaneously. Her techniques maximized efficiency while maintaining quality care standards essential for both civilian and military medical environments. Hospital Corpsman Second Class Morrison asked about Chen's approach to triage protocols during mass casualty situations. "Ma'am, your triage system seems more efficient than standard military protocols. Where did these techniques originate?" Chen explained her methods without revealing their combat origins. These procedures evolved from treating high-volume trauma cases where rapid assessment and treatment prioritization determined patient survival rates. The corpsman observed Chen's demonstration of advanced hemorrhage control using civilian equipment adapted for battlefield applications. Her techniques combine the best aspects of both medical environments to create superior treatment capabilities. Chief Hospital Corpsman Riley recognized the sophistication of Chen's teaching methods. "Doc, your instruction style reminds me of advanced military medical training. You understand tactical medical considerations that most civilian doctors miss." Chen acknowledged the compliment while maintaining her cover story. Trauma surgery requires understanding all variables that affect patient care, including environmental factors and resource limitations. During the practical exercise phase, Chen worked alongside the corpsmen to practice complex trauma scenarios. Her natural leadership and tactical communication impressed the SEAL medical personnel who recognized expertise that exceeded normal civilian training. Patterson observed Chen's interaction with the corpsmen and noted her immediate credibility with experienced military medical personnel. They respected her knowledge and followed her guidance with confidence that suggested recognition of superior expertise. Chun introduced the corpsmen to civilian hospital techniques for managing trauma cases that required extended treatment timelines. Her methods for maintaining patient stability during prolonged medical care filled gaps in military medical training. Morrison asked about Chen's experience with combat-related trauma patterns. "Ma'am, you seem very familiar with blast injuries and penetrating trauma characteristics. Have you treated military casualties before?" Chen provided carefully worded response that maintained operational security. Civilian trauma centers treat patients with injuries similar to combat wounds, including blast effect from industrial accidents and penetrating trauma from various mechanisms. But Riley observed that Chen's knowledge extended beyond academic understanding to practical experience with combat medical challenges. Her solutions to complex trauma scenarios demonstrated familiarity with battlefield medical constraints. The second phase of training involved Chen learning updated SEAL medical protocols developed since her discharge from active duty. The corpsmen shared new techniques for trauma treatment under combat conditions. Chen absorbed the new information with comprehension that impressed the instructors. Her questions demonstrated advanced understanding of military medical principles and tactical considerations affecting battlefield care. Patterson noticed Chen's obvious satisfaction with returning to military medical training environment. Despite her civilian status, she clearly felt comfortable working with special operations medical personnel. Riley taught Chen updated protocols for treating blast-related traumatic brain injury using equipment now available to forward medical units. Her quick mastery of new techniques suggested strong foundation in military medical principles. Chen shared her experience with long-term rehabilitation techniques that help trauma patients return to demanding physical activities. Her knowledge benefited corpsmen who needed to understand complete recovery timelines for SEAL personnel. Morrison demonstrated new hemostatic agents and surgical equipment being fielded to special operations medical units. Chen's immediate grasp of their applications impressed the corpsmen, who recognized expert-level medical competency. The training session concluded with both communities having gained valuable knowledge from the exchange. Chen's civilian trauma surgery expertise enhanced SEAL medical capabilities, while updated military protocols improved her ability to treat former military personnel. Patterson debriefed with Chen about the success of their first collaboration session. "Ma'am, the corpsmen were impressed with your teaching ability and medical expertise. They'd like to schedule additional training sessions." Chen expressed enthusiasm for continuing the collaboration while maintaining security requirements. Working with your medical personnel provides professional satisfaction while benefiting both civilian and military medical communities. Riley approached Chen as she prepared to leave the facility. "Doc, I wanted to thank you for sharing your expertise today. Your teaching methods and medical knowledge exceeded our expectations." Chen accepted the gratitude while feeling renewed connection to her military medical background. It's rewarding to work with personnel who understand the importance of medical excellence under challenging conditions. Morrison offered informal feedback about Chen's instruction effectiveness. "Ma'am, our corpsmen learn more in one session with you than typical training provides in weeks. Your practical experience shows in every technique you demonstrate." Chen departed the facility with satisfaction that came from successfully bridging her civilian and military medical identities. The collaboration provided professional fulfillment while maintaining the security requirements that protected her from ongoing threats. Patterson documented the training session's success for future planning purposes. The exchange had proven mutually beneficial while providing cover for ongoing collaboration between Chen and the SEAL medical community. The first formal training exchange had established a framework for ongoing partnership that would benefit both communities while protecting Chen's security through official consultation status. 6 months into Chen's collaboration with the SEAL medical team, her carefully maintained security faced its first serious challenge. Hospital Administrator James Kellerman had been conducting systematic background investigations of all senior medical staff as part of new institutional compliance requirements. Kellerman approached Chen's desk in the trauma department with a clipboard of documentation that made her immediately alert to potential security implications. "Dr. Chen, I need to discuss some discrepancies I've discovered during our background verification process." Chen maintained professional composure while assessing the tactical situation. "What kind of discrepancies are you finding?" Kellerman consulted his paperwork with obvious suspicion about Chen's credentials. "Your medical school transcripts show completion in 2015, but your undergraduate degree was earned in 2007. That 8-year gap requires explanation for our accreditation review." Chun provided the carefully prepared cover story that had been established during her identity transition. I took time off after college to travel and work before deciding on medical school. Many students don't go directly into advanced education. But Kellerman's investigation had uncovered additional inconsistencies that concerned him. Your residency evaluations are exceptional, but some of your surgical techniques don't match standard civilian training protocols. Several colleagues have noted your unusual expertise with trauma cases. Chin recognized that her military medical training had created observable patterns that threatened her cover identity. Her techniques had evolved from combat medical experience that exceeded civilian trauma surgery preparation. Kellerman continued his questioning with growing suspicion. I've also noticed your rapid advancement to senior trauma surgeon status despite relatively short time at this facility. Your performance exceeds typical civilian medical career progression. Chin understood that her exceptional competency had created unwanted attention from administrative personnel who didn't understand military medical training advantages. Her success was drawing investigation that could compromise security protocols. Kellerman revealed the most concerning aspect of his investigation. I've contacted the Medical Licensing Board about verifying your credentials through additional channels. They're requesting more detailed documentation about your educational background. Chin's security training immediately recognized the threat that official investigation posed to her protected identity. Medical Licensing Board inquiry could trigger discovery of her witness protection status and compromise ongoing security measures. That afternoon, Rodriguez received notification through intelligence channels that Chin's identity was under administrative investigation at her civilian hospital. The information came from informal surveillance networks monitoring potential threats to her security. Rodriguez immediately contacted Williams about the developing situation. Senior Chief, we have a problem. Hospital administrator is investigating Dr. Chin's background and has contacted medical licensing authorities. Williams understood the implications immediately. Official investigation could expose her protected identity and create security risks from contractor personnel still seeking retaliation for her war crimes testimony. Rodriguez explained the specific threats posed by Kellerman's investigation. This administrator doesn't know about her protected status, but his inquiry could trigger database searches that reveal her military background. Williams made immediate decision to implement protective measures. We need to intervene before official investigation compromises her security. Contact Patterson and Thompson for emergency response. Within 2 hours, Williams had arranged meeting with Hospital Administrator Kellerman using official Navy liaison protocols. His approach would provide satisfactory explanation for Chin's background without revealing classified information. Williams arrived at Mercy General Hospital in dress uniform, carrying official documentation that would address Kellerman's concerns. He requested private meeting with the administrator to discuss matters affecting hospital-Navy cooperation. Kellerman received Williams in his office with curiosity about the unexpected military visit. Senior Chief, what brings Navy personnel to discuss hospital administration matters? Williams presented carefully prepared documentation that provided cover story for Chin's background. Mr. Kellerman, I understand you're investigating Dr. Sarah Chin's credentials as part of your compliance review process. Kellerman confirmed his investigation while expressing confusion about military interest. Yes, I found some discrepancies that require clarification for our accreditation requirements. Williams provided explanation that satisfied administrative concerns without compromising security. Dr. Chun served as civilian medical contractor supporting Navy medical research programs during the gap period you identified. Her work required security clearance that limits public documentation. Kellerman examined the official paperwork that Williams provided as evidence of Chin's contractor background. The documentation explained her advanced medical capabilities while accounting for the timeline discrepancies that had raised suspicion. Williams emphasized the classified nature of Chin's previous work. Her contractor status involved medical research that remains classified for national security reasons. Standard background checks won't reveal this service because of security requirements. Kellerman accepted the explanation with relief that his investigation had reasonable resolution. This explains her advanced trauma surgery capabilities and unusual expertise with complex medical cases. Williams provided contact information for official verification of Chen's contractor background. If your accreditation review requires additional confirmation, this liaison office can provide appropriate documentation without compromising security classifications. Kellerman agreed to use official channels rather than continuing independent investigation. I appreciate your clarification about Dr. Chen's background. This resolves the discrepancies that concerned our compliance review. Williams departed the hospital with confidence that immediate threat to Chen's identity had been neutralized. The cover story would satisfy administrative requirements while maintaining operational security for her protected status. Rodriguez received notification that Williams had successfully addressed the investigation threat. Chen's identity remained secure while her position at the hospital was protected through official intervention. Chen learned about the team's protective action when Williams briefed her about Kellerman's investigation and their response. The intervention demonstrated SEAL community commitment to her security while maintaining her civilian medical career. Williams emphasized ongoing vigilance requirements despite resolving immediate threat. Kellerman's investigation shows that your exceptional capabilities continue creating a tension that could compromise security if not carefully managed. Chen expressed gratitude for the team's protective action while acknowledging ongoing risks. Your support enables me to continue serving both communities while maintaining security against the threats that necessitated my protected status. The incident had tested the informal protection network that the SEAL team provided for Chen. Their successful intervention proved that collaboration enhanced rather than compromised her security through professional relationships with personnel who understood operational requirements. Rodriguez documented the threat and response for future security planning. The pattern suggested that Chen's exceptional medical capabilities would continue attracting attention that required careful management to maintain her protected identity. 6 months after the administrative investigation threat, Chen received an unexpected invitation that marked the full circle of her relationship with the SEAL community. Williams contacted her about attending a Naval Special Warfare graduation ceremony as civilian medical consultant. Dr. Chen, our command would be honored to have you attend this graduation as our guest. The new corpsmen have heard about the legendary combat medic who became a trauma surgeon, and they'd like to meet you. Chen accepted the invitation with appreciation for how her story had become inspiration within the SEAL medical community. Her transition from combat medic to civilian surgeon demonstrated successful adaptation while maintaining commitment to saving lives. The graduation ceremony took place at the Naval Special Warfare Training Facility, where Chen had first demonstrated her exceptional capabilities. Her attendance as official civilian medical consultant provided perfect cover for her ongoing collaboration with the community. Chen arrived at the ceremony wearing professional civilian attire that concealed her military background while allowing her to move comfortably among special operations personnel. Her security remained intact while enabling participation in military community events. Williams introduced Chen to the graduating corpsmen as civilian trauma surgeon who provided advanced medical training to their community. The introduction maintained operational security while recognizing her contributions to SEAL medical readiness. After the formal ceremony, several graduates approached Chen with questions about transitioning military medical skills to civilian practice. Her success story provided valuable guidance for personnel considering post-military medical careers. Hospital Corpsman 3rd Class Jackson asked about Chen's experience combining military and civilian medical training. Ma'am, how do you apply combat medical experience in civilian trauma surgery? Chen provided guidance that drew from her own transition experience without revealing her protected identity. Military medical training provides excellent foundation for civilian trauma surgery because combat medicine emphasizes rapid decision-making under pressure. The graduates appreciated Chen's practical advice about using veteran education benefits for medical school and leveraging military medical experience for civilian medical careers. Her example demonstrated successful pathway from military service to civilian medical excellence. Rodriguez observed Chen's interaction with the young corpsman and noted her obvious satisfaction with mentoring military medical personnel. Despite her civilian status, she remained committed to supporting special operations medical community. Petty Officer Martinez, fully recovered from his surgery, approached Chen with gratitude that had deepened over months of rehabilitation. "Ma'am, I wanted to thank you again for saving my life. Your surgical expertise gave me the chance to complete my career and transition successfully to civilian life." Chen accepted his thanks while feeling the fulfillment that came from successful medical outcomes. Seeing patients recover completely and return to their chosen activities provides the greatest professional satisfaction any surgeon can experience. Williams privately thanked Chen for her continued support of SEAL medical training programs. "Your expertise has significantly enhanced our medical readiness while providing valuable civilian perspective on trauma care." Chen expressed appreciation for the community that had embraced her despite the secrecy requirements surrounding her background. "Working with your personnel provides professional fulfillment while enabling me to serve both civilian and military medical communities." Patterson approached with updates about upcoming training collaborations that would benefit from Chen's participation. "Ma'am, we're planning advanced trauma training scenarios where your civilian hospital experience would provide valuable insight." Chen confirmed her availability for continued collaboration while maintaining security awareness that governed all her military community involvement. These partnerships demonstrate how civilian and military medical communities can benefit each other through knowledge sharing. During the reception following graduation, Chen reflected on her journey from hospital corpsman First Class Chen to Dr. Sarah Chen. The transition had required sacrificing her military identity, but she had found meaningful way to continue serving. Rodriguez joined Chen's reflection with appreciation for her resilience and continued commitment. "Your courage in reporting war crimes led to justice, and your transition to civilian medicine continues serving people who need medical expertise." Chen acknowledged the personal costs of her choices while recognizing the positive outcomes that had resulted. Maintaining integrity sometimes requires significant sacrifices, but finding ways to continue serving makes those sacrifices meaningful. Williams made closing remarks that recognized Chen's exceptional contribution to their community. Dr. Chen represents the best values of military medical service: courage, integrity, and commitment to saving lives regardless of personal cost. Thompson approached Chen as the ceremony concluded with an informal security update. "Ma'am, our monitoring indicates no current threats from contractor personnel. Your security situation remains stable." Chen appreciated the ongoing protection that enabled her to participate in military community events while maintaining safety from retaliation threats. "Your support provides security that allows me to serve both communities effectively." Martinez presented Chen with honorary recognition from the graduating class, a civilian medical consultant certificate acknowledging her contributions to SEAL medical training. The recognition formalized her status within the community while maintaining her cover identity. Chen accepted the honor with emotion that reflected her deep connection to military medical service. This recognition means more than you know because it represents continued ability to serve the special operations community despite the circumstances that require my transition. As the ceremony ended, Chen prepared to return to her civilian medical practice with renewed sense of purpose. Her dual identity as Dr. Sarah Chen and former hospital corpsman First Class Chen had been successfully integrated through community support. Before you go, I have to ask, have you ever attended a military graduation ceremony or witnessed the kind of respect and recognition we just saw? What did you think about Dr. Chen's journey from combat medic to civilian surgeon while maintaining her connection to the military community? I'd love to hear your thoughts on stories of service members who continue serving in different ways after their military careers. Rodriguez walked Shun to her vehicle with final appreciation for her ongoing collaboration. Ma'am, your example shows that military service doesn't end with discharge. You've found ways to continue serving that honor your training and sacrifice. Shun departed with understanding that her relationship with the SEAL community had evolved into permanent partnership. Her courage in reporting war crimes had cost her military career, but led to meaningful civilian medical service, supported by community that understood her sacrifice. The graduation ceremony had demonstrated how Chen's story had become inspiration within Special Operations medical community. Her successful transition from combat medic to trauma surgeon provided model for other military medical personnel considering civilian careers. Williams documented the event as successful integration of civilian medical expertise with military community values. Chen's continued collaboration benefited both communities while proving that service commitment transcends military and civilian boundaries. The lasting bond between Shun and the SEAL community reflected shared values of courage, integrity, and commitment to saving lives. Her journey from hospital corpsman First Class Chun to DR. Sarah Chun had created new ways to serve while maintaining the dedication that defined her military medical career.